Welcome to this probably rather rambly video about my first month studying literature at university. I hope you enjoy. Maybe you grab a cup of tea and let's talk about it. It's been 4 weeks since I've started studying comparative literature at the University of Vienna, and I think it's time to talk about what life as a student is like, whether or not I regret my decision to go back to studying after years of work, what exactly I am studying and what I'm reading. Here's some teasers for you. My colleagues, maybe some difficulties I'm having, because there definitely are some. So let's get into all of that. So let's first talk about the content of my courses, which I think is the most important thing, and I'm so buzzing to say that I absolutely love 95% of the things that I'm learning, and I'm just so happy about that because I did so much research up front to make sure that this is for me, and so far it really seems to fit my interests perfectly. I have introductory courses on literature and comparative literature, as well as some other courses about Western thought throughout the centuries, the subject of time and memory in literature, colonialism of the Low Countries reflected in literature, and some other courses. And I'm just buzzing every time I come home. Eric has to listen to me raving about what I'm learning, and I think that is a really good sign. So content wise, I really cannot complain. I love it a lot. In my comparative literature course, I have to read Don Quixote. I have this lovely teacher. He just translated a novel from Spanish to German, so he knows a lot about translation, and we talked a lot about that in class and some of the problems of translation. Then I also read the Poetics by Aristotle in that course on Western thought throughout the centuries, and how important Plato and Aristotle were in shaping how we look at literature and writing, even still today. I'm just so glad that I have most of my time now spent reading, researching, and learning the things I really love, because when I thought about studying, that was really my main intention, because I just realized that with a job I cannot teach all of these things to myself. Without a teacher, without structure, that's going to be really, really difficult. So I'm just really happy that that is what I'm doing, and I'm reading like 2 to 3 hours every day just for uni. I'm loving it. I love that someone is forcing me to read all of these works that I wanted to get around to anyways. So in that regard, amazing. And just the fact that I have a course specifically talking about the topic of time and memory in modern literature just makes me so excited. I feel so lucky. That's exactly what I'm interested in. And it's just so cool. Like, comparative literature is seriously the best, because we take works from all languages and from all over the world, right? We talk about Proust in that seminar, but we also talk about Thomas Mann, and we also talk about Virginia Woolf, and we read their stuff, and then we also talk about Wagner and his music and how that influenced writers, and we watch movies, or we're asked to watch movies. So I'm just over the moon with this field of study that I not too long ago didn't know anything about. So very excited about that. And I also love the approach of my teachers. I'm going to talk about my teachers, my professors, a little bit later, but it's really great how they encourage critical thinking. I feel like it's very non-dogmatic and non-black and white, what I'm learning. So it's really teaching me to think in a nuanced way about topics like colonialism, right? They always strive to show both sides of the history, and they strive to understand what is happening and how it fits in that time period. And that just feels very healthy and non-radical. And it's just such a good skill, to learn to watch movies, for example, or read books with that lens and that mindset of nuance. Yeah. So I next want to talk about the workload and being a lot busier than I used to be. That is definitely a thing. I used to work 3.5 days and had the rest of the week off to do whatever I wanted, and that is not the case anymore. I'm, especially with YouTube as well, I'm very busy 6 days a week at least. Like, we really have to fight to keep Sunday to ourselves, Eric and I both, because we're doing a lot of things. And I'm just busy from morning till evening doing things for uni or for this YouTube channel. However, I feel a lot better doing that because I love what I'm doing. And Eric also already said that I seem a lot more relaxed, even though I'm busier, since I've made that decision to study and since I'm going to uni. And I think if you're in a situation where you're thinking about studying literature and you're not entirely sure, and you're maybe a little bit afraid of the workload or having to study a lot, try to really figure out what it is exactly you'll learn in your studies and how it's conveyed. And if you love that, I'm so sure that love will carry you through all the difficulties. So really try to get to the core of that and not worry too much about all the circumstances. Because for example, I have to commute quite a long way to uni, so I have like 2.5 hours of commutes to, and then 2.5 hours back, and I spend a lot of time thinking about whether I can do that. And the thing is, I can do that because I love what I'm doing, right? And I'm also happily saying no to other things because I love what I'm doing. So, it's really about getting to the core of what you're learning and asking yourself whether or not that really excites you. Okay, let's talk a little bit about my teachers and also about a concern I keep hearing from many sides. That is that literature has become highly politicized at universities, and that it's only about that anymore. And I've just heard people being concerned about indoctrination and things like that. So let's address that. First of all, I think it is definitely a thing that literature is highly politicized at the moment, especially when young people decide to study literature. So in my student colleagues, I see a lot of concern for, having an equal amount of female and male writers in a course and things like that, and they'll voice those things. My teachers, however, don't seem to be, how do I say that? They hear those concerns, but to them it's really not all about that. I think that's how I want to put that. So look, that's only my impression now, but I feel like I haven't learned a lot of politically motivated things in the past 4 weeks. And the thing is, I can choose my own courses, right? So I can do basically whatever I want. There's very little courses I absolutely have to take, and if you do study literature and you love that those topics on, I don't know, climate change or feminism or anything like that, then I think, at least at my universities, there are a lot of courses for that, and you can choose those courses. But if you choose not to focus on that, there's also a lot of courses on, you know, Shakespeare and Rilke and time in literature and things like that. So it's really where you choose to take it. That's my understanding of it so far. And as I said, my professors, they just seem really enthusiastic about what they're teaching, and they try to teach in a non-dogmatic way, and they love to like hear concerns of students, but they're also not like, they're not standing in front of the class being angry about things, you know, because I think if you're in any way intelligent, you realize that anger is not going to get you anywhere, and understanding is, and that's what they're trying to convey. Yeah, I really hope that comes across in the right way. Yeah, and I think one of the advantages of going to university when you're not super young anymore is that you have a lot of life experience already, and you usually don't let people tell you so easily what to think. At least that's how I'm feeling. And, you know, I can listen to things, and I can listen to things being suggested to me, but I'll still make my own choice on whether or not I believe something. And that sovereignty of thought is just, I think, easier when you're not 18 anymore. At least that's my experience. Okay, let's talk about the university building and the surrounding in Vienna. It's absolutely gorgeous. I'm gonna put some clips in on the main university building in Vienna, the library. It's just, it gives me dark academia vibes. I unfortunately don't have all of my courses in these gorgeous buildings, but a lot of them, so I'm enjoying it quite a bit. Vienna is also a beautiful city to live in. I mean, I don't live there, but it's also a beautiful city to study in, and it just opens a completely new world to me. It's just everything's so big there, and there's so much culture going on, and it's honestly a little bit overwhelming, the amount of people and possibilities you have there. It's a bit much, and I tend to be very introverted and just go to my class and then go back home, and that's just me, but there would definitely be a lot of things to do. But someone asked for a library picture, so I took those pictures for you, and I hope you get an impression, and I hope you come to study in Vienna. If you do, or if you're thinking about it and you're from somewhere else, please let me know, and let's meet for coffee or something. That would be lovely. And also let me know if you have any questions, or if there's anything I can help you with. You can comment below, and I'll try to get back to you as best I can. And then about my study colleagues, most of them are a lot younger than me, right? I'm 28, and I feel like most of my colleagues are just out of school, so they will be 18 or 19 years old. And it's quite insane how much of a difference in understanding that age gap causes. I feel like I don't have a lot in common with these people anymore. It's it's quite crazy, like even just in terms of style or what they think about or what they do, it's very far away. But obviously they're really kind. Everyone I talked to was really nice so far, and even though I'm naturally quite secluded, I tried to sit next to someone else every day. Oh, the camera just turned off. But I think what I was saying is that yeah, I tried to talk to people from time to time, and yeah, I found one person as a potential friend already, but it's a little bit awkward when you're 10 years older than everyone else, or pretty much everyone else. But yeah, not too big of a deal, I would say. So all of these I think were pretty positive. There's two things I struggle with a little bit, and I just want to share those as well in the name of being transparent and honest. The first thing is there's a real emphasis on science. Of course, I'm studying Literaturwissenschaften, so it literally means literature science, and that's what you would expect, right? That for a big part, things are valid if they are scientifically proven. And we're learning how to write scientific papers and things like that aren't just motivated by our personal feelings, but that are relevant to other people as well. And I don't know, we just had a course there that got me a little bit triggered, because I think there are many problems with science. Science has many blind spots. The scientific method has quite some flaws, and I've thought and read about that at length in the past. So and I think what upsets me the most is that we're talking about literature here, you know, literature that is for the most part stories that have never happened. So it's not true, it's not scientific, it's not, you know, based on anything that really happened. Yet we have to examine it with tools and talk about it with tools that are scientific. And yeah, I just had I was in a bit of a doomsday mode, sorry, after that lecture. But I think it's gonna be alright, because it's just a tiny little bit that upset me, and yeah, I can write scientific papers, I guess. It's fine. I just consoled myself with the fact that in all the other courses, that is not really the main focus at all. So that's great. Yeah. The second thing I struggle with quite a bit more, actually, is that we often talk about quite heavy-hitting subjects in our courses. So we read, for example, Mouse, which is a comic, or like a graphic novel, I guess, by Art Spiegelman, that talks about the Second World War. And we just had to read some of that for class, you know, and I'm sitting at home reading it, and it almost triggered some kind of existential crisis, because every time I start thinking about the horrors of war that happened all around here, you know, I live in Austria, and you know, 10 kilometers from here there used to be a concentration camp, not even 100 years ago, and it was one where they euthanized, it's just a nice word for killing people with disabilities, people that were ill, and they brought them there by the hundreds every day and just put them in gas chambers. And I worked with people with mental disabilities, and they would have probably all been shipped there not even 100 years ago. So those things are just, I don't know, what am I trying to say? Sometimes with violence and war and horrible things happening in the world, I just don't know how to deal with them. I'm not sure how much I want to go in depth with that topic, but as a default, I often just lock myself up at home, you know, figuratively and literally in my four walls, and I kind of have to cut a lot of the bad things that are happening in the world out in order to just be able to live and do my thing. And then these things get thrown at me in the form of literature because we learn about it, and then it almost sends me into this, it doesn't almost, it sends me into a downward spiral, and it's just very energy draining, and it feels very hopeless and not very productive at all. So but I'm gonna have to look at that and find a way to deal with that, because that's not gonna become less, and I see the value in learning these things. I just don't have the right relationship to it yet, or I doubt that there can be such a thing. Well, okay, I think I'm gonna leave it at that. And I would love to next week make a video, very like a detailed video on what I'm actually learning and showing you everything that I have to read and that I'm studying. So yeah, maybe I'll do that next week. And thank you so much for watching this rather rambly video. I hope you got some value out of it. If you feel like it, subscribe to the channel, that would mean a lot to me, and I'll see you again next time. Bye bye.